for your practice. Okay. Do I have a calculator? Oh, I do. Look at me. All right. So these are two perpendicular diameters, blah, blah, blah. The AC, what is this? AC equals 16. So I'm going to write that the diameter. So the diameter here, right? This line A to 6 to C is 16. So let me write 16. The diameter D equals 16. And if you want, obviously the radius equals 8. Calculate the area and perimeter of the shaded part. Oh, wow, really? So the area of the shaded part is a half a circle, right? That's what's shaded right now, right? So half a circle is shaded, half a circle is not shaded. So pi r squared, pi, and what's the radius? 8, so it's 64 or 64 pi, right? It's a unit centimeter squared. Let's go, and then we're not interested in the whole circle. We're going to divide that by 2, and I'm going to leave it in terms of pi because I'm going to be late. So it's 32 pi centimeter squares. If you want the numerical answer, I'll be specific on the quiz as to if you can leave it in terms of pi. There's no reason for us to multiply here, and that would have been 32 pi would have been just fine. The perimeter of the shaded part. So again, think about what that means. Oops, sorry. Let me erase this. So again, you're taking your dog for a walk after dinner, and this is the route that you take. Okay, so the route that you take is made up of all these parts, right? So it's made up of this curve and this curve. Now these two curves is half the circumference of a circle, right? So let's find the circumference. C equals pi d. We know that the diameter is 16, so it's 16 pi. And again, these two blue parts, right? These two parts are half a circumference. Well, we're going to divide that by 2, and we're going to go 8 pi centimeters. But we're going to have to change this. So 8 times pi is 25, 13. Okay. So these two blue parts, this blue part and this blue part, it represents half of a circumference, and numerically it's 25, 13. Okay. Now, again, and then if you're walking your dog, so that these two parts, but you have this green line, this green line, this green line, and that green line. So you can think of it as 4 radiuses or two, what do you call diameter. So that's 8, this is 8, this is 8, this is 8. So however you feel like thinking of it as two diameters or 4 radius is up to you. So it's 4 times 8 is 32, right? So we have to add 32. So if you take a walk around with your dog, the distance that you're going to cover is 25.13, which is the two blue parts. And all these greens, and I'm talking about, right? Let's talk about the radius. It's 4 of them times 4, 32. So final answer, 1357.13 centimeters. And that's the distance that you walk. Find the area of the unshaded part. Okay, so we want the unshaded part. So pretend you had a rectangle, you punched 1, 2.5 holes through it. What you're left over with is the piece of paper, right? The white part of the paper. So how much you're left with? Oh well. Let's find out what. So area of the rectangle first of all is base times height. So if we do this. This is 3. That's 3. There's another 3. There's another 3, and there's another 3, which means that the base here is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So this is 15. What about going up and down? Up and down is 3, plus another 3 over here, and that's 6. So the height is 6. So area of the rectangle is base times height, or 15 times 6, and that's going to give us 0 carry 3, 90. 90 whatever unit square, centimeter square. So we took care of the rectangle. Now we got to find out the area of these two circles, 2.5 circles. So, well, let's find the area of one circle. Pi r squared. Area equals pi. And what's the radius here of the circle? The radius is 3 or just 9, right? 3 squared is 9. And we get 9 times pi. 9 times pi, and we're going to multiply that by 2.5 because there's 2.5 circles. So we're going to go 9 pi times 2.5, or in your calculator you can just write 9 times pi times 2.5. 9 times pi times 2.5, because there's 2.5 circles, and our final answer is 70.69 rounded centimeters squared. So the area of the rectangle is 90. The area of the 2.5 circles is 70.69. So all we gotta do is subtract. It's 19.31. So the leftover, the unshaded, so I don't know why I put the dull side. The unshaded, which is the white part, is 19.31 centimeters squared. Sorry. Okay. Very easy. Okay, so what is this? In an equilateral triangle, the side is 14. BC is the diameter of the semicircle. ABC, hang on a second. So the triangle here, this is 14, this is 14, and this is 14, right? It's an equilateral triangle, so all sides measure the same, which, by the way, gives you the diameter of this semicircle, right? So we want the area of the shaded part. So we have a triangle, and we have half a circle. So find the area of the triangle, and then find the area of the semicircle. So I'm going to start with a semicircle because it's easier. So the area of the circle is pi r squared. That's 14 is the diameter, which makes the radius 7. So let's put 7. So A equals pi 7 squared, and A equals 49 pi. And let's leave it like that. Well, actually, we're going to have to change it. So 49 times pi is 153.94, and we're going to divide that by 2 because we want half a circle. And we're going to get, so the area of the half circle there is 76.97. What is the unit? Centimeters squared. So that's, so we did the half circle. Now, so the triangle here, imagine, so if that's 90 degrees, and here again we go to Pythagorean Theorem, which I'm kicking myself for not having it done it with you guys. This is 7, this is 7, and this is 14. So don't worry about it. I'm going to do it, but don't worry, this question will not show up in your test. So here is a 90-degree triangle where I know the hypotenuse, or this the longest side. This is 7, and I don't know the height of this triangle. Okay, and that's what I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem for. So c squared equals a squared by b squared. So in a right angle triangle, when we c is always the hypotenuse, and the other two we can call it a and b. Doesn't really matter. So here we get 14 squared. A squared is what I want to know, and b squared, which is 7, we're going to put 7 squared. So 196, I believe that's 196, right? 14 times 14. Yeah, and then a squared plus 49, we're going to subtract. We're going to get 147 equals a squared. And remember, we have to take the square root of both sides. So we have to take the square root of both sides, and that leaves us this a. And the square root of 147 is approximately 12.12. So the height of this, the height of this triangle is 12.12. Now that I have the height, can I find what do you call the area? Yeah, I can find the area. So area of a triangle is half times base times height. Half the base here, this is your base right here, which is 14. The height we just found, which is 12.12, and all we gotta do is now is multiply. So 14 times 12.12. Enter, divide that by 2, and the area of the triangle is 84.84 centimeters squared. So we got this value and this value. All you got to do is add them to both, and you get the area of the shaded region. 4. In the given figure, AB is the diameter. Okay, it's the diameter of a circle with center O, and OA. So if OA is 7, maybe OA is 7. Which means this is 7, so the diameter, so let me write this. So OA, which represents the diameter of the radius of the big circle, is 7. So the diameter is 14 of the big circle. Find the area of the shaded region. Okay, so let's find the area of this tiny circle that's inside. We can do that. Area equals pi r squared. Well, 7 is not the radius of that square, it's 3.5. So a equals pi times 3.5 squared. And 3.5 times 3.5 is 12.25. So we're going to write a equals 12.25 pi, etc. And you know what? I think we're going to need a numerical value. So we're going to multiply that by pi and actually get a numerical value, which is going to be, for the area of that tiny circle is 38.48 centimeters squared. Okay, so done. We've done the area of that little circle. Super easy. Now we want the area of that, right? So now think about this, of the shaded area. So the shading, again, imagine a half a pizza, right? So let me show you the pizza here. So imagine this was your whole pie, okay? Yeah, that pie, and somebody came and ate this much, right? They came and ate this much. Okay, oops. And the blue part's what's left over, right? So let's calculate that. So that's not that bad. So what we do need to know, so what we can do here is find the area of half of the big circle. So area of the big circle is pi r squared. And the diameter of the big circle, AB, the center, with the AB is the diameter of the circle with center O, and OA is 7. Okay, so the OA is 7, which is the radius. Okay, so area equals pi. So this, the diameter of the big circle is 14, and the radius, which is this to here, is 7. So that's 49. And A equals, I'm going to multiply 49 times pi. That's going to give us 153. And we're going to divide that by 2. So okay, all that divided by 2 because we will have the circle 76.97 centimeters squared. Okay, now from that, so we have half a circle. So again, this is what we just calculated, half of the circle. Okay, so imagine that's half the circle. So somebody came and took a triangle out of this. So they, from the half of the pie piece I have, they took a triangle out. Right, they cut a triangle out. So how much of the pie, which is represented in blue, do I have left over? So let's find the area of the triangle. Well, the area of the triangle is base times height. Sorry, half times base times height. The base of this triangle is the 2 radius, right? Which makes it 14 because we know that this is 7 and this is 7. So the radius, so the base of the triangle is 14. And the height of that triangle is just another radius, right? So it makes it 7. So half times 14 times 7, and the area of the triangle is 49 centimeters squared. So from the 79, 90, 76, 97, which represents the half circle, we're going to subtract 49. And that's going to leave us with a shaded part on the circle. So that's going to be, what is this, 97, 7, 16 minus 97, 27.97. Now I can add this to this, and I get the area of both shaded areas, this little circle and that little part over there. So you can add those and find the answer. OACB is a quadrant of a circle. The radius OA is 3.5, OD is 2. Calculated shaded portion. Now again, imagine you had a quarter of a pizza and somebody took a triangle out. How much do you have left over? Well, let's find the area of the triangle because that's how much we're going to take out. So area of the triangle is base times height, half base times height, which is 3.5 times 2, and it equals 3.5. So the area of the triangle is 3.5 centimeters squared. The area of the half circle, quarter circle, so let's find out the area of the quarter circle. So A equals pi r squared, right? So A equals pi, and the radius of, so imagine it was a full circle. What's the radius of that full circle? It would be 3.5 to the second power. 3.5 times 3.5 is 12.25 pi, and I'm actually going to multiply that by pi, and we get 38. So 38.48 is the area of the full circle. But we don't need a full circle. We want a fourth of it, so we're going to divide that by 4. So just 1/4 of that circle equals 9.62. So let me remove that. So 1/4 of that circle, so 1/4 of the circle is 9.62. And then somebody took a triangle shaped portion out of it, which is 3.5, and whatever left over is the shaded area, which is 20. No. 9.62 minus 3.5, and that gives you 6.15. 6, the length of 8. Woo, what AC and BC are up in particular, given that the area of the shaded portion is 308. Okay, so if the shaded, again, if the shaded portion is 308, the full circle, so the area of the full circle, is 308 times 2, right? 308 times 2, which equals 616 centimeters squared, right? So just putting it out there. So I needed that because they're asking me for the radius. What is AC, right? Well, actually, they're asking for the diameter. But if we find the radius, we can find the diameter. So the area of the full circle is 616, right? How do I know that? Because the area of the shaded part is 308, and 308 is half. So multiply by 2, we get the area. So A equals pi r squared. In this case, I know what the area is, 616. Pi and r squared, and r is going to be what we're looking for. So remember what we did, divide by pi, divide by pi. So let's find out what 616 divided by pi is. It's 196.08 rounded, r squared. How do we get rid of that square? We're going to take the square root of that side, the square root of this side. So r equals square root of 196.08 equals 14. Right? It's 14, not exactly, but So the radius is 14. And if the radius is 14, the other side is 14, so the diameter, which is what they're asking for, from A to C is 28. So diameter is 28. Now that I have the diameter, guess what I can do? I can find the circumference. C equals pi d. So if you want to take a walk around the circle, C equals pi times 28, and if we can leave it like that, 28 pi centimeters. Not centimeters squared, but distance is just 28 pi centimeters. If you want to change it, 28 times pi, we get 87.96. 87.96 centimeters would be the distance around the circle. 9. So again, really not difficult. So what do we want here? PS is a diameter, okay, of a circle with PS is the diameter of a circle of radius 6. PS is the diameter of a circle, okay, with radius 6. QR points on the diameter such that PQ, okay, so we have 3 sections here, PQ, this section, and this section, they're all equal to each other. Semicircles are drawn as shown in the figure. Find the perimeter of the shaded region. All right, perimeter. All right, so again, you want to take a walk around this circle. Okay, not the circle, the shape. Okay, so you're taking your dog for a walk. You're going to go this way, and then up that little curve, and then that. So this is made up of one big semicircle, as you can see, if you think about it. Okay, so the first portion of your walk is that big semicircle. Second portion of your walk is going to be the medium semicircle. And the third portion of your walk is going to be this green part, which is a small semicircle. So you need to find the area of 3 different circles, divide them all by 2, and then add up. Sorry, not the area. You need to find the circumference of 3 different circles, a big one, a medium one, and a small one, and then divide them by 2 because we only want half the distance of that circle, and then add them up. So the only thing I'm not too clear, PS is diameter of a circle of radius, say. Okay, PS is diameter. So they're telling us that the radius, okay, so this from here to here is 3, and from here to here is 3. Okay, now if we know that the total is 6, what does that mean? It means that each of these sections, that's 2, and that's 2, right? So let's calculate the big one, and then the big circle, which is this. So the circumference of that big circle. So imagine that was a whole lap. P equals pi d. So of that, we're going to multiply pi, and what's the diameter? Diameter is 6, right? From here all the way to the other way is 6. So 6 pi is the circumference. We're going to divide that by 2 because we're only interested in half a circle, and we're going to leave it as 3 pi. Let's leave it in terms of pi. 3 pi centimeters. Now we have, I'm going to change colors. We need to find the circumference. This one, that's half of a circle, of a medium circle, right? So I change colors. C equals pi d. And in that medium blue circle, the diameter is 4, so it's pi times 4. And remember, I am not interested in the full lap around that blue circle, so we're going to divide that by 2, and we get 2 pi centimeters. Now, and finally, the last section of your walk with your dog is this red, half circle. So let's do the half circle of the red circle there. Pi times d, and you notice that the diameter of that red circle is going to be 2. 2 pi, I'm not interested in the full circle, so we're going to divide that by 2. The circumference of that, if that was a, the half circle there is just pi centimeters. So now all we got to do is add 3 pi plus 2 pi plus pi. It's like adding 3x plus 2x plus x. So 3 pi plus 2 pi plus pi equals 6 pi centimeters. So that is the distance that you would walk with your dog. Again, what did you just do? You took the circumference of 3 circles, C equals pi d, 3 times, and you divided each one by 2, and then added them. In the given figure, the area enclosed between the 2 concentric circles is, 770. If the radius of the outer circle is 21, the area between, so I'm gonna shade this. So this area right here, okay, in red, that's what I think they're meaning. So that area. So imagine you had a red piece of paper and you punched a big hole in the middle. Whatever that red that's left over, so that area that's left over, 700 centimeters squared. Okay. The radius of the outer circle, erase this. So the radius of the outer circle, as shown in the picture, is 21 centimeters. Okay, calculate the area of the inner circle. Okay, so let's find out the area. Wait a second. Let's find out the radius of the inner circle. Okay, give me a second. I haven't done this since last year. So if the radius of the outer, calculate the area. So we can calculate the area of the big circle, which would be that. We subtract. Okay, all right, got it. So the area of the big circle. So let's find the area of the whole circle. Right, the area. So let's see what the red paper originally looked like. Right, so you cut a construction paper, it was color red, okay, and that's what you have. So what was the area of that? Well, A equals pi r squared. They told us the radius was 21, so it's pi times 21 to the second power, and let's do that. What's 21 to the second power? 21 times 21 equals 441. And then multiply that by pi, you're going to get 1,385.44 centimeters squared. So that's what you're holding right now, right? This whole red circle construction paper that you have. So now, imagine what happens if we subtract 770. So if we go 1385.44 and subtract 770. Now, what does a 770 represent? 770, guys, represents, so let me try to draw that circle. So here's your red circle. And we're going to cut out this part right here. We're going to cut out this. Not a hole in the middle, but this part. The green part's what I'm going to cut out. And I'm going to be left with the center. So I'll cut out that. So that's what the 770 represents, because that's what they told us in the problem. So if I cut that out, I'm left with minus 770. I'm left with 615 centimeters squared. So what does that mean? 615, and let me go back here and erase. 615 is the area of the small circle. Right there, the smaller circle inside, the area is 615 centimeters squared. If I have the area, guess what? I can find the radius. Okay, so A equals pi r squared. The area of the small circle is 615 pi r squared. We're going to divide both sides by pi. R squared equals, and let's divide both sides by pi, which is 615.44, by the way, sorry, 0.44. 615.44, we're going to divide that by pi, and we're going to get 195.9. Take the square root of that, take the square root of that, and we get 195.9. Square root of 195.9 equals 13.99, which we're going to round to 14. So the radius of the small circle is 14. Ta-da! 24. In the figure, B is the midpoint, okay, got it, of AC, and AC is 28. So from here, so the diameter of the big circle is 28. So which means this is 14, and that's 14. Okay, and if you're looking at the diameter, the whole thing is 28. Good. 3 semicircles are drawn. AC, AB, and BC are diameters. What? AC as AC. AB and BC. Okay, diameter. Calculate the area and perimeter of the shaded portion. Okay, so we want the shaded portion. So we need, first of all, the area of the semicircle. So we need the area of this part. And I'm just going to highlight, shaded in green. So imagine you had a half a circle. Can you find the area of half a circle? Well, area equals pi r squared. The radius of this, if that was a full circle, is 14. Pi times 14 squared, which is 196 pi. I'm going to divide this by 2 because I'm not interested in the full circle. I'm interested in half of the circle. So 196 divided by 2 is, no idea, 98 pi. And you know what? I'm going to get the numerical one, times pi, enter. And that's 307.88. So the area of that shaded region is 388 centimeters squared. So, but someone came along and took a bite. And you can tell they took this bite here. And they took another bite here. I need to figure out what's the size of each bite. So area equals pi r squared. So notice that these 2 bites equal to 1 full circle, right? So A equals pi, and what's the radius of this circle? Well, we know AC is 28, so again, this was 14, and this was 14, so the radius of the small circle is 7, so 7 squared, area equals 49 pi. We're not dividing by 2 because these 2 bites equals 1 full square. So 49 times pi, enter, is 153.94 centimeters squared. So we're going to subtract 307.88 minus 153.94. Let's see what we get. 307.88 minus 153.94 equals 153.94. Well, the area of the shaded part is 153.94 centimeters squared. Okay, so that's the area. Now the circumference. Again, you're taking your dog for a walk. From A to C, you just walked half the big circle. So let's find out what the circumference of the big circle to begin is, and then we divide by 2. So the big circle is C pi d. Pi and the diameter of that is 28. And 28 pi, let's change that to a number. 28 times pi, enter 87.96 centimeters. You're still not done with your walk. Now you're going to continue walking your dog, and you're going to take this half a circumference and this half a circumference of the smaller circle, and notice that these two halves make one full circle, right? So C equals pi d, and what's the diameter here? What's this diameter? That diameter is 14, right? So C equals 14 pi, and C equals 14 times pi, which is 43.98. So you and your dog walked 87.96 plus 43.98, and that's going to give you whatever the total is, which I'm not. You guys can figure that out. 4 equal circles. Okay, 4 equal circles each have a radius. Okay, so from here to here is 4.5, which means the whole thing is 9 centimeters. So I'm going to write 9 here. So 4.5 on the top, 9 is this whole thing, and we want to find the area of the shaded region. Well, let's find the area of the square first. Area of the square. Well, if it's a square, what is a square? It's 9 times 9, so the area of the square is 81 centimeters squared. I left at everything centimeters. Okay, so think of it as shaded. So think of it as this whole thing was shaded. Okay, so you had a square. This whole thing was shaded. Okay, and you had 4 friends come over. All right, so you know right now you're holding a pizza, which is a 9 by 9 pizza. Okay, and 4 of your friends come, and they each come and take a bite. One guy takes a bite from this corner. One guy takes a bite from this corner. The other guy takes a bite from this corner. And the other guy takes a bite from this corner. And what you're left is with that middle. That's what you're left. So let's figure out what each bite is. Now notice that each of these 4 bites is 1/4 of a circle. And because we have 4 bites, that equals a complete circle. Correct? So let's figure out what the area of one big circle is. So the area of the circle, and what did we say the radius was? 4.5. So a equals pi r squared. A equals pi times 4.5 to the second power. 4.5 times 4.5 enters 20.25. So A equals 20.25 pi. Let's multiply that by pi. And we get area equals 63.62 centimeters squared. So we're not gonna. So again, from the pizza, which is represented by the square, it's 81 centimeters. So 4 people take 4 bites, which represents 63.62. So all we gotta do is subtract. So whatever I have left over, it's that part in the middle, minus 63.62. And we get 17.38 centimeters squared. So that's the middle part. Alright, so I think I told you the last 2. No, and then, okay, so let's see, 29. Again, the more you do these, the more used you're going to get to these types of problems, and the easier they become. They're easy to begin with. Alright, so the diagram represents the area swept by the wiper of the car. Calculate the area swept by the wiper, right? With the dimensions given in the diagram, calculate the area swept by the wiper. The diagram represents the area, so does that mean the whole thing is the, what do you call it, the wiper? Is the image given in the diagram? Calculate the area swept by the wiper. So I don't know why they have a shaded and an unshaded part. Am I missing something? Represents the area swept by the wiper of the car. So did the wiper go, is this whole thing, is the area, is what the wipers, is the area that the wiper is wiping? Oh, let's, why would they have shaded and unshaded? Hang on a second. Okay, sorry. Oh, and I own a car. So your wiper is this thing, has an arm, and this part here is your wiper, right? And that's what goes left and right. So this is the area that that's what it's wiping. Okay, so this part here, where's the arm of the wiper, it doesn't wipe, right? So the wiper wipes the top part. Duh. All right, so you notice that this is a quarter circle. So we have to find the area of the quarter circle of the big circle, and then find the area of the quarter circle of the smaller circle. Okay, so let's do the whole circle. So again, pretend this was a big circle, right? A big circle, and let's find the area of this fella right here, which is 1/4 of a circle. So A equals pi r squared, and of the big circle, the radius is 14, because that's 7 and 7, so the radius is 14. So pi times 14 squared, and we're going to leave it in terms of pi this time, 196 pi centimeters squared. Done. Now the second thing we have to do, so that's the area of the big, right, of the quarter circle of the big circle. Now, let me draw a smaller circle here. Now, we need to find what this 1/4 of that small circle is. So A equals pi r squared again. And on that smaller circle, the radius is 7. So A equals 7 times to the second power. 7 to the second power is 49. 49 pi. So we have to subtract 196 pi minus 49 pi. And we can do that without multiplying. 196 minus 49. We're going to leave everything in terms of pi. Final answer, 147 pi centimeters squared. If you want to multiply by pi, be my guest. That's good enough. Let's do the one right at the bottom. Find the area of the shaded region. Oh my god, really? So, it's a half a circle of the big circle, and then half a circle of the small circle. That's the area of your shaded region. So, the big circle, which would be put it on top. So area of the big circle. So if we take a look at the big circle, hang on a second. The diameter is 6. Right? It says that from one end to the other is 12, so the radius is 6. So pi times 6 to the second power is 36, and we're going to leave it in terms of pi. Hopefully we don't have to multiply centimeters squared. So I just calculated this part right here. Okay. We're going to divide that by 2, and we get 18 pi centimeters squared. So that half, okay, that half a circle is 18 pi centimeters squared. And I know we have to subtract that. Somebody took a bite of it. You know, we have to subtract it. Give me a second. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to subtract this circle here, right? Here's a circle. We got to subtract that circle from what we just found. So that one, I'll put it in red, and in that circle, A equals pi r squared. Well, the diameter is 7, so that means the radius is 3.5. So pi times 3.5 to the second power. 3.5 to the second power, and we're going to leave it in terms of pi, so 12.25 pi. So let's subtract the 18 pi minus the 12.25 pi, and minus 18 18, we get 5.75. So right now we have 575 pi. So this shaded region here, okay, the blue region, that equals to 5.75. Okay. Now we have the last thing we have to do is find this little circle here, and that little circle, again, a equals pi r squared, a equals pi. So that one, the radius is 5, obviously. Sorry, the diameter is 5, right? 12 minus 7. So the diameter is 5, which makes the radius 2.5. So 2.5 to the second power. Again, hang on a second. I messed up somewhere. Yeah, I messed up. So let me take that back. I'll take this back. 12.25, by the way, guys, and nobody stopped me, is the area of this medium circle, but the whole circle. We got to divide that by 2, which I forgot to do. Something fell off. So divide that by 2 is 6.125 pi. Okay, so now we're going to subtract 18 pi minus 6.125 pi, and we're going to get the blue region. Minus 12, 18 minus 6.125 gives us 11.875 pi centimeter squared just for the blue region. Okay, and then in red or in purple, we have to add this circle to it, right? So that circle, the purple one, a equals pi r squared. The radius, well, the whole thing was 12. That part was 7, so which makes this, the diameter of that square, this little circle is 5. So 5 times 2.5 to the second power, 2.5 to the second power is 6.25. And we're going to put 6.25 pi. We're going to divide that by 2 because we're not interested in the full circle, which is 3.125. And notice that I'm not rounding here because I sort of had a feeling a bit better now too. So let's add the blue area and the purple area. So it's 11.875 pi plus 3.125 pi. And let's see what we get. Plus 11.875. And we get exactly 15 pi centimeters squared. And it's so much easier when you don't have to multiply by pi sometimes. Last question, which is this one, 31. The figure below, 4 corners are circle quadrants and a circle in the middle to find the perimeter area of the shaded region. So again, think of your paper, which has lines, okay? We'll do it step by step, okay? So I don't know, this is your cake or something. It's like a line cake. And somebody comes and takes 4 bites, 1 from each corner. Take a bite, take a bite, take a bite, and somebody cut off a piece from the middle. How much do you have left over? So that's pretty much what the area question becomes. So let's find out the area. Well, first of all, we need the area of the square. It's a 4 by 4. Did they say it's a square? Yeah, it is a square. So it's a 4 by 4. That means it's 16 centimeters square. Okay, the area of the square. Now let's notice that these 4 bites are 1/4 of a circle. So let's find the area of that circle, right? So let me draw this out. So imagine this was a full circle. Let's find the area of that circle. So area equals pi r squared. The radius here is, they tell you it's 1, so it's pi times 1, or just pi. I don't have to do anything here. So the area of that is pi, and actually we're going to need to change. So we're going to subtract. Let's start with the cake. The full cake was 16 centimeters squared. Let's subtract pi. 16 minus pi, and we're going to have to round this. 16 minus pi. So now we're left with 12.86 centimeters squared. Okay, after 4 people come and take a bite from each corner. Now, somebody's going to say, can I take the center piece home, or make a circle cut up a circle from the middle and take it home? Well, let's calculate what that area of that circle in the middle is. Well, a equals pi r squared. A equals pi, and again in the circle, the diameter is 2, which makes the radius 1. 1 to the second power, and again that just becomes pi. So 12.86, we're going to subtract here, right? The last part we're going to subtract. So we had this much left over after 4 people took a bite. Now we moved the centerpiece. So 12.86 minus pi, and that we're going to have a rounded answer, 9.72 centimeters squared. And that's pretty much it. The last two, I remember from last year, you need the Pythagorean theorem, but that's it. So you don't have to do the last two.